Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do The Immortal Hulk, issue number 14 from Marvel Comics by Ewing, Kyle Hotz, and Paul Mounts. Yeah, this is more like it's slowing down the action now. It's more story time now. And sometimes I like this because it drips feeds me story, what happens in between or what comes after. Sometimes it's just, filler. There's a lot of comics with filler. There's nothing wrong with filler. But it's about how it's been handled and how well the story's been told. And I must say, although this is a more slowing down storytelling, I still liked it, and the art is really good. Big fan of Kyle Hotz, by the way. He's a very good artist in my opinion. So, but without further ado, let's dive in. And so it's Betty Ross here. What I didn't know, and forgive me if I don't know everything what happened before, but she is not the Red She-Hulk anymore, and she's talking about someone that died many times, that's been buried somewhere else, and people are making speeches, but he's been died so many times. There's not much people coming to the funeral anymore because, well, I thought she was talking about Bruce, but it's none other than her father, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, right? So at the funeral, normally it would be Captain America because Captain America in the past, made a speech, but now it's Tony Stark, and I believe even Tony Stark doesn't know what to say anymore. So he's running out of words, and he's asking, "Hey, does anyone else want to speak?" And Betty Ross, I believe she's really mad because according to her, death wasn't what it used to be. And she's just maybe sitting here, wasting her time. But then there's someone speaking. And it's this, let's say, this enemy of this storyline, I guess, if he is the enemy. And he's introducing himself as Reginald Fortune. He worked with the general for many years back at Project Greenskin or Gamma Base. And he knew him well. Now, I always thought, and maybe he is, that he was part of the Hulkbusters back in the day. There was also a time that the leader got, the bodies because they died and of the Hulkbusters, and he did something with them, brought them back to life. So in my opinion, in my mind, I think, hey, man, he was that guy from the Hulkbusters, but now in hindsight, I could be wrong. And I was very convinced that this guy's part of that group, and basically he stares at Betty and Betty stares back, and he's talking about loyalty and that he was a proud man and that Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross taught him many things to carry myself with authority. He says to have confidence in my abilities to assert myself when the world seemed against me, and most of all, he taught me to stand against monsters. And he looks at Betty. All right. And then we go somewhere else. So this is the second base of Shadow Base because they had to move. And these researchers has, I don't know, a gift from the government calling him Subject B. And we leave this particular part here because, well, we only see glimpses of what this creature could be or what he is. Or maybe is just a victim of gamma radiation. But yeah, well, I'm not going to speculate. I'll leave it here for you to see. And then we're going probably maybe in the next issue or the issue after that. Who knows, right? Because I can speculate who this guy is or was, but if I'm still wrong, just like with, the other guy, it's not good either. Still, I think he's part of the Hulkbusters, by the way. Anyway, so the funeral of Thaddeus Ross, and I do not know how he died. Maybe it's not really important, but, this is Marvel Comics. They always come back. So Tony is here, and he says, hey, do you know that guy? Because he's looking at the Fortune. He says, we've met. So Tony says, hey, Betty, I know this isn't the best time, but we're on your side, okay? What happened in Iowa was a mess, but if Bruce had just kept his head, we could have worked it out. The Avengers aren't the bad guys here. And he says, Bruce can run forever, not even with the Hulk on his side. He needs to come in. No, she doesn't really respond. And then he says something, what is it with serious topics and jokes at the same time? Can I give you a ride home at least? I got a plane a LaGuardia that actually turns into a robot. I call it Stark Scream. Get it, guys? Like Transformers, come on. Anyway, so he says, you also got a death ray that blew up a town, Mr. Stark. I fly coach. Yeah, you tell him. So she has a lot to think about Fortune, about her dad, and even about Bruce. She also checked her own house for bugs because in the last issue, Bruce called her, right? And she also thinks back about her relationship with her dad, that he's behind prison glass, and he asked her, hey, why don't you come visit me, right? But she never did, and now he's dead. Still, she found Bruce, and they still married. And he says, I'm sorry about your father, and I'm so sorry that it took so long to call. He said if that made it okay. For months, she thought he was dead, really dead. Months of sighting of false hopes and grief. And he let her go on thinking that he let her. I apologize, guys, because it's getting dark here, so my light is not really that good. Let me see if I can rectify that. I hope this is a little bit better. And I thought, okay, man, she's gonna punch him in the face. But no. And she says, part of her wants to slap him. And she says, we're not safe. Get inside the house. All right. Look at his clothes. He looks like a bum. Speaking of art of Kyle Hotz, I think his art is really evolving from, I have a lot of comics from him, especially from the 90s. He is really improving. His art, his attention to detail is amazing. And although mostly of his art is dark or darker, but he still can bring this attention to detail. And, along with Kelly Jones, I think he's also a good horror artist. He can really bring smoke, the undead, right? He can he can really portray that in his art really well, especially with intestines and skeleton faces. He's a good one. But then we see here Bushwhacker. He's in this comic a lot, and he says, "Hey, I got Bruce Banner, but the girl is blocking the shot." He says, "Hey, can I just shoot her and then shoot him?" So Fortune says, "No, that's not what we're going to do, Agent Burbank." And he says, "I thought Friends of the Hulk were enemy collaborators, General. I buried her father today, Burbank. That man means a great deal to me. I won't send his daughter to join him unless I have to." Okay, he's a man of principles. I like that. So he's not some kind of a villain that wants to kill everything in sight. Still, he's the bad guy here, I'm presuming. And anyway, so it seems that these living, brain banks are monitoring the house where Bruce is, right? Now, it seems Betty has worked for S.H.I.E.L.D., and I believe she stole this. And it's unclear to me what this actually is. So it's some kind of a statue that looks demonic, so maybe it's magic involved so that the others cannot listen in, or maybe it's some kind of electronics device. It's not really explained, by the way. And so she says, "Hey, this is a little leftover from my time with the Order of the Shield. I saved it from when I need it." "That's the secret society we're one with, isn't it?" says Bruce. "The ones who ordered my death." Ran, past tense, "The Order doesn't return my calls now that I'm only human. And you managed to plan your own death without any help. Only I didn't take, did it?" So yeah, so she's giving a lecture, and rightfully so, right? I mean, Bruce did a lot of bad things. She says, "I cried over you, Bruce. I didn't cry over my father, but I cried over you. I wonder was that because I thought you were dead or because I knew you were alive?" That's a good question. So, yeah, he still have her in his sights. Sorry for the resolution. All right. So, Agent Bourbon still wants to kill them, but he doesn't know who is, which, because the infrared, that's one of his powers, I guess, cannot what's the English word? I'm blanking. You know, the difference between men and women here. Probably that's the best word. So Bruce apologizes, says, Betty, I know I should have called someone, but I wasn't ready. It's like I knew that in my gut I couldn't face it. I learned to trust my feelings like that. They protect me. But something happened. Before I called you, it broke me open, Betty. It tore me in half. I didn't have my protection anymore. And everything I've been numbing, Rick Jones is dead and he didn't come back. He's gone. I can't believe he's really gone. And I like that, you know, you really can see this pain and guilt on his face, right? He is really well done. Still, Betty looks like him. Not sure, maybe she's feeling pity. Maybe she's feeling a different kind of emotion. And he says he cheated on her, broken her heart and her life dozen ways. And when she becomes equal, the Red She-Hulk, he had taken that away too, for her own good. Him and Rick, even that was tainted. So Agent Burbank is still watching them. But still here he stood, she thinks. An open wound in the shape of a man. A beaten dog, and she couldn't do it. She could never do it, never hurt him, even with the truth. Agent Burbank, stand down now, that's an order, the sun is going down. Her father has called him a milksop. She loved that vulnerability, but now it seems somehow as mad as the rage that smashed cities and left no body count. As carefully calculated, in that moment she knew why her father had hated him. Look at this. He looks so lost. Poor guy. Oops. And in that moment, she hated him more. Oh my God. Whoops, he says. That's the wrong one. You all know what's going to happen, guys. Hulk breaks out because it's nighttime. And he transforms his hands into the 1,000 cal. It's probably some kind of a weapon. And he says, come on, I can take you, green freak. It'll be a rush. We're going back to hell tonight. So Fortier says, remember the protocol, stun and run. I can take him. It's night, you damn fool. Were you sleeping during retraining? Unless the sun's up, he doesn't die. None of them die. So what's going to happen here then? I mean, she isn't the She-Hulk anymore, the Red She-Hulk. So I wonder what's happened now. And look at this, it's so good. He says, I can take him, it'll be a rush. But then before he can do anything, somebody comes behind him and throws him away against a tree. He says, I got it from here. Betty called Bruce. She said, you might be in trouble. Now, obviously, had a setback, but if you can try and stay calm, we all get through this. Trust me. I am your doctor. Try to stay calm. I love that his brain is still missing. Yeah, it's Doc Samson, guys. And he's back. And that leads us to the next issue. Also from Alex Ross, by the way. Classic Hulk. Classic Doc Samson costume and haircut. So I wonder what he wants. And if he has actually managed to try to calm him down. So like I said before, sometimes a smaller story can be good as long as the story has been well told and well drawn. Yeah, so not much action, but it doesn't always have to, because in the coming weeks or months, it depends on when I'm going to review this, we're probably going to see some more action. So guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about, not only this story, but if you also like, these smaller stories or these, these in-betweens, these fillers. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.